I couldn't find him. I never knew where he ended up. So you were sitting next to him? That's nice.
I told him we're going to be doing this in a year for you.
I know, I'm so excited. Yay.
And then I'm sure that next week he's going to want the week off. After all of this.
We have a bar mitzvah next week.
Yep. And somebody's singing the door to door. I wonder who that is.
Oh, and you know, mostly kosher.
They're mostly kosher coming, right?
Yeah, a couple people.
Good. I know she asked me, but I thought of that.
She said, what do you think about that? Yes, please.
I never say no to anything.
Yes, it is tough to keep reminding myself that other people are. So, just got a voicemail talking about the COVID-19 vaccine and that you should be getting one. It's like, really? It's not really that high. And push off, and my extra.
You had your booster? Good for you.
I have to wait a couple of weeks for mine.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I just
Hello.
I'm gonna put the British cups on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, you do not.
Or you want it back here?
Yeah, back here's good.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, after having COVID, early 2020, so you had never had it? No, I hadn't. I don't want to have it. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. That was like the worst thing in the world. It was like, people were like, you need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, if I'm going to the hospital, they're putting me on a ventilator. I'm not coming out. Yeah. Yeah, it's like your lungs feel like they've been snapped together. Your throat feels like fifth grade sandpaper. Oh, God, that's awful. No taste, no smell. Yeah, it's like your body can fluctuate between fever and chills. Oh, it made me feel like a suspect.
You had COVID?
Yeah,
Me too. Me too. March.
Yep. And the January to February, right after Sunday. I'm right. Yep, I was sick.
Hey,
Hello,
Shabbat
Rabbi.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Hi,
Shalom.
How are you?
You're officially the rabbi now.
I know, I've been installed. Yeah. Yeah, just amazing. I mean, and they're so understated too. Like, that was brilliant. She just goes on to another thing.
Yeah.
Wait, we
Wait,
could spend the
soak-
hour on that.
soak
Like,
that in.
yeah. How are you doing, Sarah?
Great. How are you?
Good, really good. Yeah. Just glad to be here with everyone. Yeah.
It's a fun weekend. This is great.
I'm realizing I should ask. Did you have a chance to check in with Dory in terms of the verses? Do we have
So
the
I-
Torah in the spot?
No, I did, and then I was going to find it yesterday, and I got here early, and the tours were on the library. I was like, oh, so I said to Dora yesterday, I'm so sorry, I couldn't roll the Torah, and she said, "Sure, I have to do it from the Chumash, I'll do it from the Chumash." Like she said, it
Oh,
was
sure.
totally
You could take a
casual.
minute.
Yeah, she said,
Yeah.
and it's on last week, so it's not going to be that
Oh,
far.
be that far, yeah. Rayla told Dode. I think that she's doing the second Aliyah, so it shouldn't be that too.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think we've probably started online.
Okay.
Let me go get a couple of things.
Okay.
Welcome to everyone who's joining us online, and here we'll get started with our service in just a little while. Okay, let me get a couple things. I love leading B'nai Mitzvah, and I love leading Friday nights. And I really look forward to these like kind of quiet Saturday mornings. It's really nice.
I do too. It feels really just mellow. We can kind of relax. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything particular that I should know in here? I realized we didn't just check in about
This is
some
just
of this.
our old I haven't done anything.
That's great. Okay. All right, I'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
Pardon me.
Sorry. It was so bad. Like, it was to the point where I could barely lift my head. I had fever for 2 days. And then when I finally did, it was months before exercise normally. I mean, I would get up and I was like, can I take a walk around the house? And I would walk around the house and I would sit down and try to. I had to walk around the house and it was months and months. just let them know. We'll be starting momentarily. Never want to go to bed again.
First thing I said when I saw it last night was like, I want one.
Well, it's artist Hillary Miller. I think you can get it on her website. No, it's a local artist. She hand paints it. Hello, Jay. Oh.
Yeah. It's so wonderful to meet you in person. First of all, thank you for inviting everyone to gather there. Thank you for recycling. Oh, that makes me so happy. Oh, okay.
This is your Shabbat, and you can play guitar for anything you want.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to just kind of hang out.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you want it, just grab it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm just gonna go note to everyone in the other room.
Okay. Rebecca has. we really will be starting any moment. What? Are they beautiful? They're so beautiful. Right, they're gorgeous. I love them. I think they're so pretty.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, I can. I'm very good
Is that
at killing
challenge
plants. Yeah.
Well, I think I've done the other way around. I once was watering different plants, and I went to one plant, I watered it, went to the next plant, watered that one, and the third plant I watered, and the water came out the bottom because it was a fake plant. Watered a fake plant. So I've
I'm going to turn this down. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I'm in good company, I think. Yeah. Right, right. Yes, which is, I am very glad that there are those in our community with green thumbs to beautify our community. Yeah, right. We only know sand. We don't know.
That's why.
Right.
Oh, that's why I can't keep a plant alive. I have an excuse.
Well, we actually hold that moment, that story, in front of our hearts. I was just speaking with a member of our community about the idea that we riff, that we are taking this story of our people and growing it, finding new ways that it speaks to us, and that's why, of course, we study on Saturday morning, to take the Torah and open it up to understand more of the ways that it speaks to us. And one of the other ways that we do that is we take the same words and we allow ourselves to say them in succession. In fact, there are some theories about our service that it began actually as a meditation on a particular Torah verse before there would be a study, which is why, of course, in our service we have a Torah service as well. It was intended to focus, to set a certain mindset before we read our story. And so, of course, we've taken texts from our sacred work and set this in front of us, and one that we have put at the very beginning of our service, because it reminds us of that moment of the Exodus, that moment traveling through the desert where there were no green plants. It reminds us that even in that space of sand, that space of desert, ma tovu, we stand in a community that is beautiful and good. The prophet in our Torah, Balaam, spoke these words when looking out at the community, seeing, to borrow from another, a desert in bloom, not from the plants necessarily, not from the vegetation, but from the community that was growing within it. And so we begin our service with that very same blessing, Ma Tovu. I invite us to turn to page 74 of our prayer books.
Ma tovu, ohaleha Yaakov, מה טובו. אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, מה טובו. משכנותיך ישראל, משכנותיך ישראל, מה טובו. אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, מה טובו, מה טובו. אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, מה טובו. ואני ברוב הסתך אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה אל היכל קודשך ביראתך. מה טובו. אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, מה טובו, מה טובו. אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, מה טובו.
Will you awaken to this new day, able to see the beauty of this community because of the simple blessing of our physical being? Perhaps more than any other goal of prayer, any other project of its device is an expression of thought, of feeling. And so this morning I invite us to express that wonderment and that gratefulness at being alive and awakening to a new day. So I invite us to join together on page 76. We'll join together in the Hebrew and then the English on the left-hand side of the page. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah, v'aro vo nikavim nikavim, chalulim chalulim, galui b'yadua lifnei chisei chivadecha, she'im yifateach achad mehem, o yisatem achad mehem, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר, מפליא לעשות. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you had made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, for one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. And it is the project also of our prayer, of our religious life, to point always to something greater. And so this morning, so too do we point to something greater. Elohai Neshama, each and every one of us a part of something spiritual, something greater than just ourselves.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, speaking of Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Ata berata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamera, meshamra bekirvi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi Tehorahi.
We continue on the following page, page 80, with Nisim B'chol Yom, these blessings of everydayness which we discover and hold on each and every day of our lives.
We can do the English after the Hebrew?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do the Hebrew and then the English, the last line in the English. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll try and
Yeah.
remember. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech v'bina, lehavhin ben yom uven laila,
Who has
given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamichin mitzadei gaver, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanotein laya'ev koach, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shena me'enai, utnuma me'afapai, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim, who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani bat chorin, who has made me free. I knew I'd forget it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifara, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Oh, there's a lot in there. That was, I forgot a couple too. Well, it is traditional at this moment as we transition into another section of our service to do a tiny bit of learning. And so I want to invite all of us to join together on the blessing on page 86, and then to read together a set of verses that, or set of words that always moves me. I'll explain why in just a moment. Let's join together at the top of that page 86. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. The words that always move me are on the next page, page 88, and they move me because of this idea of chidur mitzvah. The idea that there are certain things that are good things to do in this world and that we kind of fulfill, right? Certain things that you kind of check the box off. Well, I don't mean to get political. You pay your taxes, like box check. No one is sitting there. That would be a terrible chidur mitzvah. No one is sitting there saying, "I want to pay more." Well, again, I don't want to get political. I'm not getting political. All right. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that. Okay, so. But this idea of chidur mitzvah is the idea that there are certain things that we are invited to do, but they don't really have an end. They don't really have a limit. They're invitations because the more we do of them, the greater beauty we create in this world. In fact, oneg, which literally translates to joy, is one of those mitzvot. A mitzvah that the more oneg, the more of that we bring into this world, the greater and greater it becomes. At no point will we have checked the box and fulfilled that mitzvah. And here is an invitation and a list of other things that we can set in front of ourselves to do and grow and do more of in this world. These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world while the principle remains in the world to come. I invite us to join together. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
Can I just point something out?
Please.
When you were talking about something higher than ourselves, Adi walked in. And just as we were saying honoring with father and mother, your mother walked in. Your timing is really good today.
Yeah, we were, just waiting for that moment. Yeah. Thank you. Those whom I have learned Torah from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's continue on page 94, Baruch She'amar, as we awaken to this new day with blessing.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reshit, Baruch omer ve'oseh, Baruch ozer umkayim, Baruch merachim al haaretz, Baruch merachem al habriot, Baruch mishalem sachar tov lireav, Baruch hai la'ad, v'kayam la'netzach, Baruch podeh u'matzil, Baruch shemo, Baruch atah Adonai melech mechulal batishbachot.
Amen. We continue with Ashrei on page 97.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, odi hallelujah selah.
Ashrei am shekacha lo, Ashrei am sh'Adonai Elohav.
Tehillah leDavid, aromimcha Elohai hamelech, v'avarcha shimcha leolam va'ed.
B'chol yom avarchecha, avala shimcha leolam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umhulal me'od, ve'ligdulato ein cheker.
Dor ledor shabach ma'asecha, ugvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kevod hodecha, ve'divrei nifleutecha asicha.
Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru, ugdulatecha asaprena.
Zecher rav tuvcha yabiu, ve'tzidkatecha yirenenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim u'gedal chesed.
Tov Adonai lakol, ve'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yevarchucha.
Kevod malchutecha yomeru, ugvuratecha yedaberu.
Leodia lifnei hadam gevurotav, lechmachto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador.
Someach Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakfufim.
Einei chol elecha yesaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam be'ito.
V'teach et yadecha, u'maspia lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol deracha, ve'chasid bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lachol asher yigra'u ve'emet.
Ritzon yira'av ya'aseh, ve'et shavatam yishma ve'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai et lechol avav, ve'et kol ha'sha'im yashmi.
Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi, vivarech kol basar shem kodsho leolam va'ed.
Va'anachnu nevarech Yah, mitavi ad olam. Hallelujah. Continue on page 100 with Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, 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 El Bekocho, hallelujah, Bikiria Uzo, hallelujah, Bigurotav, hallelujah, Kerovudlo, hallelujah, 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 beteka shofar, hallelujah, benevel bechinor, hallelujah, betofu machol, hallelujah, bemining beugav, hallelujah, 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 b'tzil tzele-shama, hallelujah, b'tzil tzele-trua. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Continue on page 106. I'd like to invite us to rise in body or in spirit. 106. Thank you, Nita.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'almad yivrach yirteh ve'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'imeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam ulal me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, ve'yishtabach, v'pa'ar v'romam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha,
Barichu.
Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, ve'imeru, amen.
What makes a fire burn? Is the space between the logs. A breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would. Invite us to join together. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between as much as to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we've learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and absence of fuel together that make fire possible.
We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way.
Page 108.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, osei shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reshit, ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mala haaretz kinyanecha, tit barach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita, yifa'arucha sela, or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu mehera leoro, Baruch atah Adonai, Yetzer HaMeorot. Page 112.
Ahava Rabbah Tanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem Laget Olavet Terah Chamalta Leinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Ve'imotenu Shebatchu Vecha Shebatchu Vecha Shebatchu Vecha Vatlamdim Chukechayim Kein Techonenu Utlamdenu Hamrachem Rachem Aleinu Rachem Aleinu V'tein belibeinu lehavim Lehavinu lahaskil lishmoa Lilmod ulelamed Lishmor velasot Ulekayem et kol divrei Talmud Torah techa be'achava Ve'ha'erinenu be'torah techa Ve'dabek lebeinu b'mitzvotecha Ve'ached levavenu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha Lo nevosh, lo nikalem Lo nikashel le'olam va'ed Ki v'shem kodshecha Hagadol v'hanora batachnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha v'shuatecha Baruch atah Adonai Habocher amo Yisrael ve'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam Beshivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshokvecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beineinecha uktatam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai Vihitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. Yes. I don't know where you want your cape.
Where do you want it?
2.
Okay, 2 it is. It's always easy to change keys as a guitar player. Just move the cape. We continue with a song that was very likely the first song ever sung by our community. At the very least, in our Torah, it's the first moment when our community is so overcome with an experience that they open up their voices in song, and we have modeled every prayer after that moment on these words. And so in that moment, seeing a miracle right before their eyes, the Israelites opened their lips and uttered these very same words. I invite us to join together on page 122. We're still getting that. They also, 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, they started in a little bit different time.
Yai lai lai la lai la lai 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 yai lai lai la lai la lai 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 yai lai la lai lai yai la lai 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 yai la lai lai yai la lai 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 mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nega b'kodesh norati lo no sefele norati lo no sefele shira hadashashi geulim v'shimchot b'hayom yad kulam hodu v'himlichu ve'ameru Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed Yai lai lai la lai la lai 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 Yai lai lai la lai la lai 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 Yai lai la lai la lai la lai 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 Yai la lai lai yai lai 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 You're welcome anytime. Sur Yisrael, please rise if you are able. Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, uvdeichinu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai Tzebaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Adonai sefatai tiftahu fi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chaste Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'emanat halehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחה האלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I'd like to invite all of us to please be seated. We continue with a prayer that has a Temple Israel tradition, and that is anytime there is the word et, which is a grammatical structure that doesn't exist in English language, but joins two words together. The tradition is to either lift up our hands. So I want to invite all of us, for those of us who are veterans of this, we'll do it together. So I'm going to say, et. Perfect. All right. A couple of us might kind of jump up a little bit. That is because the force of moving our arms is so strong that it lifts us up. Well, let's join together in this prayer that is really just a shout of delight for this day of Shabbat. Let's join together on page 132.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם.
We continue now knowing that there are different modes, different ways that each of us enter into prayer, and different ways that those modes, those different ways of prayer speak to us. And so we offer prayers in English, we offer prayers in reading the Hebrew, we sing together, and we also share in moments of silence. In this moment of silence, this silent prayer, for some of us, it's going to be meaningful to use words that are on the pages to follow. For others, letting this moment simply be a moment of silence, allowing whatever thoughts, whatever comes to our heart, be what that prayer is in this moment. For all of us, we'll join together. So I invite us now to take a moment of silence, a prayer of silence. We'll join back together again on page 142.
Shalom tova uvracha, chayim chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim 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 shalom tova uvracha, chayim chen v'chesed v'rachamim.
We now continue our service with Seder Kriyat Torah, the opportunity to take our Torah out and not just celebrate what it teaches, but hear the same words. There is profound meaning, I think, in not just sharing these stories, not just allowing them to speak to our hearts, but to share literally the same words that have been offered for generations and generations. Years ago, I read a commentary in the Hebrew from a scholar that was writing about 1,000 years ago. And this particular scholar, I happened to be reading in the Hebrew, and so it felt very ancient that I was reading someone who had written some commentary 1,000 years ago in the Hebrew. And while I was reading, the commentator said, and this is like it says, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. And I thought, my first thought was, how in the world did he know that? It's because these same words have been offered for years. Not just 5, 10, or even 1,000 years, but thousands of years. And so we share in them this morning. As we begin our service, I'd like to invite all of us to please rise in body or in spirit.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch le'olam vad. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et hamo v'shalom. Av harachamim, heitiv al vertzonecha et Sion, tivne chomot Yerushalayim, tivne chomot Yerushalayim, ki v'cha levad batachnu, melech eram v'nisa adon olamim, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, unromem Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'chanetzach, v'hachod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Adonai hamamlacha ve'ani na'aseh lechol erosh. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba'vetomhecha, me'ushar eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba'vetomhecha, me'ushar. Of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba'betomhecha, me'ushar eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba'betomhecha.
be seated. We have the absolute joy of, sorry, it is for me calling up my partner in crime, Dory Chandler, to read from our text this morning. And while Cantor Cooper and Dory are looking for the particular spot for this week, as I know that the Torah, well, I always think, at one point in time, the table of contents was the height of new technology. I'm going to turn this on so that those at home can hear us as well. At one point in time, the table of contents, it was like the newest technology. It was like the new iPhone. And we have here our sacred text that is made in the same way that it has for thousands of years. But there are not many markers of where something might begin and end. While they're finding their place, I want to just note something about this particular scroll. This scroll was actually housed on a sanctuary that was on the Queen Mary as it made its way across the ocean, bringing new members of our American community to our country. And I think that there's something really profound about having a Torah in that space, in that there are people in our community who were moving from one country to another, and yet still allowed this story and these texts to be their anchor in that moment. I think it suggests that our people have lived all around the world and in many different places in history, and that anytime we open up our sacred words, we are at home. For our Aliyah this morning, we have the honor of calling up my Ima and Abba, Marilyn Chandler and Robert Chandler.
Okay. Nala Amod. Michal. Bat Peralea. Yecheskel. Yerach. Mel Ben Yehoshua. Laliyah HaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayigdal ha'ish, vayelech haloch v'gadel, ad ki gadal me'od. Vayhilo miknei tzon umiknei vakar, va'avodah rabba, vayikanu oto plishtin, v'chol ha'be'erot. Asher chafru avdei aviv, bimei Avraham aviv, sidmun plishtin, v'malun afar. Vayomer Avimelech el Yitzchak, Lech me'imanu, ki atzamta mimenu me'od. Vayelech misham Yitzchak, vayicham benachol gerar, vayishev sham. Vayashav Yitzchak, vayichpor et be'erot hamayim. Asher chafru bimei Avraham aviv. Vaysadmun plishtin, acharei mot Avraham. Vayikra lahen shemot. Vayikra lahen shemot. Kashemot, asher kara lahen aviv. Vayachperu avdei Yitzchak banachal, vayimtzeu sham be'er mayim chayim. Vayarivu re'ei gerar, imro Yitzchak, lemor lanu hamayim, vayikra shama be'er esek, ki dasku imo, vayachperu be'er acheret, vayarivu gam aleha, vayikra shema sitna, vayatek misham, vayichbor be'er acheret, velo ra'avu aleha, Vayikra Shema Rechovod Vayomer Ki ata hirchiv Adonai lanu ufarinu ba'aretz Vaya'al misham Ki ata hirchiv Adonai lanu ufarinu ba'aretz.
Nicely done. Yasher Koach. Wow. I'm going to ask you to chant many more times.
We're going to continue now with the English translation of that same reading.
Oh, sorry. What page was it on? Thank you.
173, thank you. Sure.
The man grew rich, and he went on growing all the richer until he was exceedingly rich. He had herds of sheep and herds of cattle and a large body of servants, so that the Philistines envied him. And the Philistines stopped up all the wells that his father's servant had dug in the time of his father Abraham, filling them with rubble. Avimelech now said to Isaac, "Leave us, you have become much too numerous for us." So Isaac went away from there, encamping in the Wadi of Gerar. There he settled. Isaac then turned to digging anew the water wells they had dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham's death. And he gave them the same names as his father had given them. And when Isaac's servants dug in the wadi, they discovered there a well of living waters. And the shepherds of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's shepherds, saying, "The water is ours." So he named the well Wrangle, for they had wrangled with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over this one too, so he named it Animosity. He then moved from there and dug another well, and over this one they did not quarrel, so he named it Rehoboth, meaning, "Now the Eternal has granted us ample room, and we will make us fruitful in the land." And from there he went up to Beersheba.
Continue with the blessing after the Torah reading.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natav b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Okay. Yeah. No, I wasn't planning on it.
We continue now with the lifting and dressing of our Torah. I'd like to invite us to rise in body or in spirit.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 תורה ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב. תורה ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 Chaim hi l'machazikim ba v'tomchecha meushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
We now continue with Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad.
Please be seated. Well, our thoughts now turn to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. And so for those of us joining online on tilb.org, I'd like to invite you to place the names of those you are thinking of this Shabbat in the chat. We'll share their names in just a moment. Together we mourn with those who are observing Shiva and Shloshim, the 7 days and the 30 days after the death of someone near to them. And so we mourn with those near to Evelyn Hyman. We mourn with Heather Raphael. We mourn with those near to Percy Morris. We mourn with Aaron and Andrea. We mourn with those near to Ellie Brooks. We mourn with Rochelle and Jim, Kylie, Brooke, Grant, Mattingly. We mourn with those near to Leonora Weber, and we mourn with those near to Madge Pizer. Additionally, we mourn with those near to Dorothy Hartstein, who died this past week. Her funeral will be tomorrow. And additionally, we mark the art site, the anniversary of the death of Laudia Bend, Helen Barrett, Samuel Barrow, August Bussey Sr., Herman Damon, Harriet DeSalis, Joseph Dietz, Julie Dorr-Fees, Jack Feudim, Paul Fulltime, Faye Green, Rose Greenberg, Doris Gruberg, Jack Harlett, Ruth Heidelberger, Max Lerner, Elizabeth Lieberman, Cecil Lillian, Anthony Masters, Arthur Menaker, Edward Milks, Sid Newman, Goldie Obadov, John Phillips, Benjamin Plotkin, Sylvia Pokris, Rao Presidio, Ren Protz, Morris Prupas, Doris Ratner, Howard Ratner, Bella Rosenberg, Miriam Shapiro, Irvin Stern, and Mariam Sipkis. If there is anyone that you are thinking of this Shabbat, I'd like to invite you to rise and to share their name as my eyes pass across our sanctuary. And now I'd like to invite all of us to rise together in love and in solidarity as we offer these traditional words of mourning on page 294. Yitgadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divrach Chirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Omel Maya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei teva, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing. I invite us together to say.
Amen.
Well, the rabbi said that every reading, every time we study something, that we shouldn't shy away from the difficult parts of something, but that we should always leave the end of it on something called a nechemta, a positive note, something sweet or good. And so too did they offer us a nechemta at the end of this very same prayer. The words Osei Shalom, reminding us that perhaps one of the strongest ways of offering love to the memory of someone near to us is by adding a little bit of peace in this world. I invite us to sing together.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Oseh shalom imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Oseh shalom imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen.
Well, as we add to the sweetness of this day, we have the opportunity. Some pretty full glasses. Yeah, I know. We usually tell the bar mitzvah student they have to drink the whole thing, but I don't know if we could take that same advice. That
I
be a
would
lot.
not be driving home.
Yeah, right. That's because of the sugar, not the alcohol. Sorry. we add to the sweetness of this day. If rituals are an expression of the feelings that we have in a certain moment, then we have this as an expression of the sweetness of this very day. And so I invite us to join together with the blessing. There will be an oneg for all of us outside. Cantor Cooper and I will begin us with Kiddush, and then we'll continue with Hamotzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim.
What do we say? It's a good month?
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
month. It's a good, very good month.
Can we continue with what? Oh, no, it's fine. The cover is beautiful, yeah. And we have our challah for this Shabbat. A reminder of the sustenance of Shabbat, of rest, of learning. It's a remarkable thing that we have an internal indicator and reminder when we haven't eaten enough. We get hungry, we feel tired, but when we haven't spent enough time nurturing and feeding our soul, we don't get that same reminder, perhaps until it's very late. And so as we bless our challah, as we nourish ourselves this Shabbat, may it be a reminder of the nourishment of this holiday as well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
B'te'avon. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And 5 o'clock this evening, we'll continue our celebration with a song, a Havdalah, and a song session, and dinner
And tacos.
and tacos. Somebody, thank you to the committee for so much Mexican food. I could eat Mexican food every meal. So it is so wonderful to meet you in person. I am so glad. And actually, I wanted to introduce you. Did you get a chance to meet briefly?
Last Saturday,
Oh, good,
yeah.
good.
I think she's gonna, you're gonna
I'm going to pop in. I have a little bit of time. I'll pop in on the next meeting.
Good.
next Friday.
Yeah,
It was gonna be 11, and you're like, can we do 11 p.m.? Like, that's a weird time, right? Like, okay.
I think there was something like, I
It's a
can't
weird
remember. There's
time, right?
something that made it. I was just worried that I was going to be able to make it. So thank you for moving it just 15 minutes
Yes,
later.
and I have an 11:30 meeting, so I will
Okay.
just be popping in and out.
Come in
Well,
quickly.
yeah. Dean's really sick, so he might have to join us virtually, but that's okay.
What's going on?
He just has a cold, allergy season. But it's nothing serious. It's not COVID. Don't worry.
Sure.
We were talking about that. It's not COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's okay. He just might have to join us virtually.
And how are you guys doing with preparation? And
Huh?
how are you doing with preparation, with getting ready?
Good. I have to email Eric. I have a few questions about like food. Like A, can we eat inside? Do we have to eat outside? B, can I use the kitchen? I have questions.
Oh, sure.
Cause I've been emailing the caterer, and she's like, "How about pork sliders?" I'm like, "No pork. Can't do that.
Can't do that.
As delicious as barbecue pork sounds."
Well, I'm
You
really
might
glad.
have
He'll
to
definitely be able to answer.
start ordering things on Amazon.
What do you mean?
Like the bless and the ketchup.
Oh, yeah. Well, how exciting too.
Maybe it says somewhere on here. Do we know the story?
We'll order that.
Oh, but it says.
Oh, wait, no, it's got a donation thing on it.
Handmade with Love by Elise
Oh.
Gordon. Oh, not that old, 2019.
That was, I bet that was her bat mitzvah.
Oh, maybe.
Her project, right. It's beautiful. Oh my God, look at that. I didn't realize it was tapestry. It's counted cross stitch. That's gorgeous. She does beautiful hammer. She does knitting. She has a knitting session. Well, she used to have a knitting session at her house every Tuesday night. Oh, wow. I guess that's probably not happening right now.
Unless it's on Zoom.
Yeah, but she was really good. I don't knit because I can't figure out what I did wrong. I can do that.
open it. They didn't open it. Maybe we should ask. Maybe there's coffee over here.
Oh my goodness, that's a big bottle. Okay. There you go. Got it?
generous today with the wine.
Oh, no, that wasn't me, that was Eric.
Eric was quite generous. You know, I didn't recognize him, the jar is full. I didn't recognize him without the ears.
Well,
And if the rabbi ever shaves all the way to his skin, I'm not gonna recognize him. I don't think I would either.
you know, I did very little because I noticed I didn't go,
I know I can take a sip.
that's it, so why wait, I don't,
I was surprised, they were both full.
yeah, that's
So your rabbi and I were like, oh.
That's Eric's doing, and I tell you, I keep telling him that, like, when he takes over, it's like, you gotta understand, I only sip, so you're wasting the rest of it.
Yeah, you're wasting it. All that delicious manischetta is going down.
I guess he's trying to get rid of it.
Maybe that's it.
I go, maybe if it was different, it would get gone.
It's delicious.
Well, I'll see you tonight.
I will see you tonight.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe this seems like a ending day, but it's all right. It's almost over.
Yep. Marathon.
And then I gotta carry these over.
It always makes me nervous putting this in here.
But no, it's just very flexible.
No, it's not that. It's
The earpiece.
this wire is coming apart all
So,
over.
so you need a new one.
Yeah. But I'm just worried about how I'm putting it in here. I'm putting it in a weird way that's making this great.
No, I think it's just got worn out in time.
Yeah.
Because Eric noticed it, he put tape on it. But I'll bring it to his attention. I'll bring it to his attention
I
for
don't
you.
think it's the wire's a big deal. I know these are really expensive. I don't think it's the wire.
Well, after the wire, after the main part of the wire gets, the outlet gets opened up, you don't have to worry about the wiring.
Right.
And then it'll cause a shortage after a while, so might as well.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Well, at least I don't have to worry about spring cleaning this place today.
Nope.
That's the fun part.
This and this and this.
I'm gonna go up to my office.
Get organized. I have to bring everything I need for tomorrow because the rest of it's tomorrow.
Yes. Wow. Oh, I don't get 8 letters. I don't know why I don't get like a small hollow.
Well, that's not so bad. You know what you could do? What we did at Temple Lenore, because we weren't sharing challah and we weren't using it, we kept using the same model, put it in the freezer, and the next week take it out, present it, put it back in the bag, put it in the freezer. No one broke it, no one ate it. It was just to represent challah. We never touched it. We never ate it. We just reused it every week. That saves some money. I mean, it's like, oh, I don't know. If we're not going to eat it, just what are you gonna do with it?
Okay. All right.
Oh, someone ate it. Never mind.
Yeah, that